Good evening, Mandan. Welcome to the Mental Health Webinar Series 2020 and 2021. Today we are in 465th session and we are going to see the topic Be Friendly Anxiety by the resource person Sri Kutti, consultant psychologist, GS Hospital, Salem, Tamil Nadu. So I would like to once again resource today's resource person and all the participants on behalf of American College Madurai, MS Chellamuth Institute Madurai and Madras School of Social Work Chennai and Red Band Education Psychological Research Center and Development Counseling Center and TNCC and TNCP and the STEPS Foundation. Once again, I would like to welcome those person and all the participants for the wonderful session today. With this note, I will hand out to the resource person, Sri Kutti ma'am. Over to you. You can take this session.
Thank you, Salim sir. Thank you for the introduction and for the opportunity to take a session on befriending anxiety. So I would like to have this as an interactive session. It would be great if you people also interact with me. So hi everyone.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Muthiya sir.
Hello.
So yeah, thank you. So I hope all had your tea, coffee, everything.
Had a nap also.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so before we dive into our topic, let's talk something positive, like something positive that happened in your life today or over the last week, something that you're grateful for, something like that, like a minute or like less than a minute. Anyone can come and talk. Yeah. Okay, anyone?
I have presented 44 book reviews in a WhatsApp group in one single year.
That's really great. Okay. Okay, that's really appreciable also.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, anyone else? It can be anything that you're grateful for, that you feel that you're grateful for.
Okay, this week have got wonderful news from my son, and also I had the pleasure of attending a workshop on counseling from Anugraha.
Okay,
So these are
that's
the
really
wonderful
good.
things that happened in my life this week.
Okay, really great. Okay, so let me tell you something that I am grateful. So today morning, like every day morning when I wake up, I feel so grateful that my house is surrounded with a lot of trees. And I can hear the chirping sound of the birds. And I'll also take you to outside and I'll also give you an opportunity to feel it. So why I told about positive emotions, because in emotions, our brain works better. So throughout the session, I hope that all of your brain works better and are very active so that you will get the maximum from me. So moving on to anxiety. When I think about anxiety, my memories go back to my school time where I was an anxious child. I was really afraid to go to a stage, perform before others. And when my teachers ask a question, even though I know the answer, I won't raise my hands. Because I have a fear that whether it will be wrong, whether I'll become a fool among my other classmates. Is there anyone who have an experience like this? No, then you are really glad.
Many of us
Yeah.
had that.
Okay. Yeah, because when I ask my friends also, they also tell me like we know the answer, but like we are not having the confidence to raise hands. So I believe that I'm the most right person to talk about anxiety because I have faced anxiety issues throughout my life. And at a point, I realized I have everything around me, everything, settled family, have a son, but something is missing. And then I understood anxiety was something always with me that stopped me from enjoying the things around me. Hence, I flipped a 4-hour training program for befriending anxiety, which is spread over like 2 weeks. And here today, I'm going to give an introduction about the program as well as I will include all the content so that if you are not able to attend a workshop, detailed workshop, you can get the topics from me and you can work on yourself, your anxiety problem. Okay. So do you have any suggestions how I want to move in this webinar? Do you have any suggestions? Okay, so I have only one suggestion. Please do respond to me so that I'll also get activated. Okay.
Sure, Shakti. Sure.
Yeah.
So you keep going, we will join you. Come along.
Sure. Okay, so anxiety. Anxiety is a basic survival instinct. It is an amazing emotion that keeps you safe. So one day, one of my client came to see me and she was telling about anxiety, and I told her it's an amazing emotion. She gave me a rude look. What are you talking? I'm suffering like hell, and you're telling that it's an amazing emotion. Then I told her, when you want to befriend anxiety or when you want to make friend, you should know what it is, right? Then only you will know that you're experiencing anxiety. You should know what it is. So a best friend is someone who knows everything about us and we also know everything about them, right? So when I tell you that anxiety is an amazing emotion, most of you would think, why she is telling like that? So I'll take you to the Stone Age, 200,000 years back. Our ancestors, caveman ancestors, they were pretty in a dangerous world. Do you know what was their very biggest challenge? Can anyone say what was their biggest challenge?
Survival.
Yeah. Survival was their biggest challenge because there will be a tiger or elephant in front of them. There will be some other tribal community coming and attacking them. They don't have a safe house. They don't have a safe place. So it was always a struggle to fight. It was always a challenging for them. So when an elephant or a tiger is present before them, their body gets into a flight or fight mode. Because at that point of time, they can't stop and think, okay, I should do this, I should do that. Planning, all these things can't take place. So our body shifted into a flight and fight mode. So let me tell some of the signs or things like that, because I am a little bit interested in the science, because I feel that when you know the process in this, we can easily accept things. Okay. So I would like to know whether this group consists of psychologists or other people, because when I tell science, maybe some people will feel that, oh, what is it she telling? So may I know this group contains more of psychologists, or what kind of group is it?
Ma'am, it's a common platform. The students as well, practitioners and other functional people, domain people are also there.
Okay. So I'll make sure that I will deliver it in a way that everyone understands. So we were telling about this flight and fight mode. So what happens is, like, our prefrontal cortex area, it almost shut down during that time, and backside of our brain, which is very reactive and instinctive, it takes up. So what happens that time? Blood flows from our body to excess blood is flown into the bigger muscles of our body so that we can fight or fly. That time, the blood flow to our hands and our legs, it decreases. And we call it as, like, cool feet. We call it as cool feet. We will feel like chill in our hands and sweating. At the same time, there is an organ called amygdala. It gets triggers our sympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system gets triggers. Our adrenaline gland get triggers, and it secretes lot of adrenaline, lot of cortisols, lot of chemicals. So what happens at that point of time? Because we will be very alert. Our ancestors need to be alert to fight or flight. So that is what our body requires at that point of time. But it's not good for our digestive system. It causes us nausea. It causes us stomach upset. It causes us vomiting. It causes us digestive issues. At the same time, when our ancestors are facing a danger, our heart rate increases. Our breathing rate, it becomes shallow and short. And our muscles become tightened because we need to fight or fly. So what do you think? Anxiety was something very important for the survivor, right? If an emotion like anxiety wasn't there, we won't exist because our ancestors won't exist. Think in a situation where a tiger is in front of our ancestor and they are thinking that it won't attack me. Let me think about the process that I can do. The tiger will attack that person. That's the end, right? So anxiety is a beautiful and an amazing emotion that helps us to survive, that keeps us safe. But years passed, centuries passed, we are in the 21st century, and research says that our brain hasn't changed too much. Okay? But anxieties for us has changed a lot. We don't have a trigger in front of us, but our deadlines, exams, society, our boss, our work, all this has replaced the triggers to us. Okay, so can I get the slides, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we'll do it.
So what is anxiety? From this, I have explained to that it's a feeling of fear or uneasiness when there is a threat before you or when you perceive something as a threat. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, sir.
Next one.
So maybe you can close the slide. I'll ask you to. No, right now, it is not needed.
Okay, let it be. Yeah.
Okay, am
You
I
can go
visible
ahead.
to everyone? Yeah, am I visible
yes.
to everyone?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, so it is a feeling of fear, dread, or uneasiness, which results when we see a danger or when we perceive something as a danger. So from our ancestor time where there was a live tiger or an elephant in front of them, it was a danger. But right now, the danger has completely changed. Can you tell some of the anxieties that you have, like, or you have come across?
That anxiety became our spouse or boss.
Yeah, stage fear. Okay, anything else like that has become a threat to you?
Crossing
Please
the
respond.
road, ma'am. Crossing the road.
Yeah, crossing the road. Okay, then trauma. Okay,
What not? Anxiety comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
yeah. Mhm. Yeah, so everyone has experienced anxiety. We all have anxiety, and I believe that we need anxiety because if we are not anxious, when we cross the road, we will be careless and accidents can take place, right? What do you think?
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it can take place. So anxiety is also something that motivates us also, right? I'll tell you, like before this webinar, I still have the anxiety. Anxiety tells me that, Shri, there is something important for you before you. There is something very important that is before you. You need to take attention to that. That is what anxiety. We need anxiety motivates us also. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So anxiety is something that motivates us. So anxiety is not always bad. It's an evolutionary threat, but once it overflows, because having a like an optimum level of anxiety is fine, but once it overflows, it starts affecting our life. In case of our ancestors, they had a threat, they will use the flight or fight response, they will come out of this. But for us, most of their anxieties are there for a prolonged period of time. When it goes for a prolonged period, it affects our body, it affects our immune system, it affects our cognition, memory, it affects our brain, it affects almost all the organs in our body. So it's that point of time we need to take attention to our anxiety. Okay, what do you think about that? When we need to take attention to our anxiety?
When it becomes too much overwhelming for us,
Yeah,
Overwhelming.
yeah,
Ma'am, when we cannot do our day-to-day activities normally, it will affect us. So then it is really something is there.
yeah, that's true.
Ma'am, it should be taken care of when it is just going to just be fast. That
Yeah.
means we need to identify that when is it is going out of control.
So when our anxiety start affecting our personal, professional, and social life, we need to take attention to that. Okay? Either you can go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or you can look into what you're experiencing. Because I have given what are the symptoms of anxiety also when we talk about the ancestor.
Exactly.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead. Yeah, you're audible.
If it would be great if you mute the button, because I'm hearing overlapping sounds. Yeah, thank you. So I have also described about the symptoms of anxiety because we need to know what is anxiety. If a person is experiencing, they should know what they are going through. Okay. So I had this client who is from Delhi. He always gets anxious when he goes and meet a girl, like when he is in dating, when he want to meet a new girl for a relationship or for marriage, he gets so anxious. So he told me that, ma'am, I can't nothing comes to my mind. I can't think about anything. I don't know what to talk about. So it's really because when we get anxious, our prefrontal cortex almost shut down, and there is nothing cognitive process take place. So at that point of time, and it really start affecting your life. So I have described about what anxiety looks like and all. Let's go a little more deeper into anxiety. Okay, from the definition, I will go deeper. That is perceived threat or perceived fear. Let me give you an example. Like when we are all studying in our schools, we will have three group of students. One group will be, if there is an exam, they will be very much anxious. Like they will think that what if I forget answers in the exams? What if I won't be able to remember things? What if the exam will be a stressful thing? What if I won't be able to complete the studies? There will be a group like that. There will be another group who takes exams as something that measures their ability, something that measures their capacity, and they know that they need to perform. There is another group who is least bothered. Exams, it will come, it will go. So there are these three kind of levels of anxiety. A single situation, three levels of anxiety. What do you think about this? Why these three levels of anxiety?
Ma'am, the way we perceive, the way the person perceives. Suppose if I perceive it is nothing, like it is coming and going, okay, it will not affect my mind. There is no irrational thinking, no negative thinking. So only it will affect when we have that phobia or fear in mind. No, it is there. So I think these things will happen in our subconscious mind, because all from childhood, whatever is deep seated, so that will tell us not to do. So it is a conflict between conscious and unconscious mind.
Yeah, that's really put out well. So it depends upon how we perceive the situation. If I perceive a situation as really danger, our anxiety level will come up. So this perceptions depends upon how we think, what our thought process, what we believe, our beliefs also. I had a relative like who came to me saying that he has low confidence. He don't have any confidence when he faces other relatives. So that time, we were like observing his thoughts, everything. We came to know that in his childhood days, his mother told that you are not that good as your brother. You don't interact with the relatives that good as your brother. So he had a belief in his mind that he is not that capable. So whenever a situation comes, he avoids. So our beliefs and our thoughts have a very good role in our anxiety. So when we want to work on your anxiety, we need to work on these two things as well as our thoughts and beliefs. From here, I'm going to the strategical part of like how we need to deal with anxiety. So may I know some of the strategies that you use in dealing with anxiety?
Ma'am,
Yeah, ma'am, actually, we will be replacing those irrational or whatever phobia thoughts to with positive thoughts. So that is again in this, one should have exposure therapy. If he is having good exposure therapy, people who are anxious about any phobia or exam and all, for such people, there should be exposure kind of thing. They can be healed. I think they can be rectified.
Okay, anyone else?
Taking breathing exercise, ma'am. Taking deep breath and calming ourselves, giving me good result, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, anyone else?
There's one another way, which means no matter what I write, he is going to fail me. I might as well watch TV and have fun. Either way, I'm going to fail.
Yeah, that's really great.
Drinking water and exercising and walking helps a lot. Even that helps a lot. Reduce your anxiety. At least I've tried that out.
Go on.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Myself, breathing is the best friend you can have when anxiety kicks in. Breathing is your best friend.
Self-hypnosis helps a lot.
Assertive thoughts too. Assertive speech too. Talks too. Agree.
Positive affirmations, positive suggestions, self-hypnosis, that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm to you all.
Yes, now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Actually, my video won't be clear, so I'm putting off my video. Power went here due to environmental factors. I'm not able to come to the video. Okay. So you were telling various techniques, and that was really helpful techniques only. The techniques that you all told. So let me tell you how I used to deal with anxiety. So before this, let me tell you that I've already mentioned about a 4-hour workshop that I have framed for anxiety, befriending anxiety. So I'll be sharing some of the few topics or some of the few strategies that I use, but I won't be able to share the complete in this limited time. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So moving on. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So the first thing that I would tell you is about coping strategies. Because when we are angry, I told before, our frontal lobe, like it completely stops, almost stops. So taking a pen and writing down things, cognition, using your cognitive ability, that won't work at that point of time. So coping strategies are that which help us to relax, which help us to trigger our parasympathetic nervous system, and which help us to completely relax our body. So moving on to the coping strategies, the first strategy that I would tell is like tip. Sir, can you please move the slide? Tip. Can you please move to the tip? Can you please move the slide to tip? Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, sir. Yeah, tip. Yeah. So let's talk about tip. Tip is a copy strategy. T stands for, sir, you have crossed it.
Okay.
The slide before. Yeah. So T stands for tipping temperature of cold water. Either you can take a ball of cold water and you can dip your head for 30 seconds, or you can take ice packs in your hand, like you can put it in a Ziploc covers and you can keep it in your cheeks or your upper eyes for 30 seconds. You should hold your breath. What happens at this point is your brain will think that you are diving underwater and your heart rate decreases at that point of time, and the blood flow that is directed towards other organs gets redirected to your heart and brain, and you will feel relaxed. So this is a coping strategy that helps us to relax when we are so anxious and when we can't do anything. T, tipping the temperature. mentioned. I stands for intensive exercise. Like you can go for 20 minutes intensive exercise. You can jog, you can walk. What happens during the exercises? It activates our front part of our brain. It relaxes our tightened muscles, and endorphins that are released to your body also. And it helps us to use the excess energy in your body. So exercise for 20 minutes. Next is spaced breathing. Breathing is nothing like you have to increase the length of your inhalation as well as your exhalation. That is because when we are so anxious, breath becomes shallow. Okay? Breath is very automatic, but we have a control over breath. So when you take a deep inhalation and deep exhalation, it helps to stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. In turn, it helps in relaxing. So when you are so much stressed, rather than thinking about the cognitive part or anything, you can use either of this. Tipping the temperature, intense exercise, or paced breathing. Like if you're in your house, you can use this tipping the temperature. If you the house, you can use exercise, and if you're going somewhere outside, you can use paced breathing. Like as paced breathing, I want to tell you that there are different type of breathing techniques. There is diaphragmatic breathing, there is yoga breathing, there is like 4-4-8 breathing, there is a square breathing. So I can't explain all of this in this time. So tip is a skill that will be very handy in your hand, and you can use it. And along with this coping skills, I would like to tell about another coping skill is grounding technique. Do you know, like anyone have any idea about grounding technique?
Like anchoring, ma'am. Is it anchoring? Hello, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah.
Like anchoring, like grounding means we should be anchoring, or otherwise distraction of thought. You know, whatever the external stimulus making us anxious, if we distract from such stimulus, then I think that will also help us to calm down.
Yeah. So there are a lot of grounding techniques. It gives us distraction. It relaxes our sense and all. So I don't have time to go further about that. So I'll stop with tip and I'll tell you that grounding exercise. There are exercises to activate our vagus nerve, which in turn stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. So cough is an effective way to stimulate our vagus nerve. Like if you take a 3 or 4 deep cough, that helps you to relax. So this is about the coping skills. So whenever you were so much stressed, rather than going on working into the cognitive part, initially work on the coping skills. So further discussions, yeah, anyone? Okay. So next we will go to the cognitive part of it. Okay. So moving to the cognitive part, sir, can you move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
So telling about this cognitive part, like there is something called cognitive distortions. It's a habitual pattern of thinking which is almost negative. I'll give you a few examples like black and white thinking. I had a client who will think the extreme. Like if she gets a pain in her hand, she will think that it's bone cancer. If she gets a headache, it is brain tumor. So she was someone who thinks the extreme. That is called black and white thinking. There is another cognitive distortion. It is called emotional reasoning, which I used to use that. Like if some of your friends are not picking up your call, you will start thinking they are avoiding me. Some problem is there. That is why they are doing like this. They don't like me. Someone has done something and it created an issue between both of us. I think he is angry with me. We will emotionally think. Maybe he would be in a meeting. Maybe his phone's battery is going to end, and so he's not taking the call. So rather than thinking the logical side, we think in the negative side, that is emotional reasoning. So there are 12 cognitive distortions which you can look into, and I wanted this 1 hour to give a complete idea about what I do in my workshop. So I'm not going in detail about that. So we all have this cognitive distortions. So if we know what is our cognitive distortions, we can reframe it. as Sir told before, we can reframe our cognitive distortions. And let me tell you about this cognitive pathways. Imagine that you wanted to go from here to here. You want to go from here to here. This is the pathway I am going, and this is a negative pathway. So I'm going here from here to here. Always this is the pathway, and this path becomes very clear. This is a negative pathway also. Now you wanted to rewire it from here to here. Neuroscience says that it is possible to rewire, but it takes time. You know a principle called neuroplasticity. So it is possible for us to rewire from here to here, but it takes some time. So you need to invest some time of you if you wanted to change your cognitive processing. Okay, so in dealing with anxiety, I'll share you a tip. That is, when you are working at the home or when you're in the office, sometimes we will have anxious thought about our family or anxious thought about some events in your life. At that point of time, you can keep a worry time. A worry time is something somewhere like 20 minutes that you spend for thinking about all your worries. So when you get a thought in your office, like what is happening in my house, you can tell your brain that I have kept a worry time for you and I'll think this matter at this worry time. Maybe at night, 9 o'clock, you can fix a worry time. So whenever this anxious thoughts comes to your mind, you just tell your brain that I have kept a time for you in the night, and I'll discuss these things in the night. So this can help you to maintain your productivity, because it's like we will get thoughts, but how we take up the thoughts, there is anxiety. If I start thinking about the thoughts, thinking about, it leads to anxiety. But if I tell my brain that I know that this thought is coming, I'm paying attention to you and telling you that I'll take care of it you at the night. Initially, it will be difficult for you people because to tell your brain always, but as time goes, definitely it will come as an automatic thing. Like your brain knows that you will think about it as night, so it will go from your mind. So moving on next, the next slide. So no one asked me like what you will do in this worry period. Any idea what you will do in this worry period? You will write all your worries, and what you will do?
Ma'am, by the time worry period comes, maybe my my anxiety have reduced for that issue.
Yeah, maybe it can also happen. Yeah, true. If your
Or
anxiety is
maybe some other ideas come to deal with that anxiety by the time I approach my worry period, because I'm thinking about worry period also.
I didn't get that part. Maybe some other.
As
Maybe
I'm
the
approaching
fact,
my worry period, I'm thinking about that problem and solution also comes to the mind,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
making me
exactly.
anxious.
No, worry period is somewhere like you tell your brain that you don't need to think much about that. If I'm getting a thought like, okay, I'm having an exam, I'm having an important exam after a week. So when I'm talking to you right now, I'm getting a thought about this exam. I'm telling my brain that, okay, stop. I'll think about you at 9 o'clock. And we are not going to further think about it. We're telling our brain, stop. I know this is a thought that I need to think, and I'll think about you at 9 o'clock. So we are stopping it rather than thinking about the solutions and all that stuff. Did you get that?
Yes. Yeah, that is good strategy.
Okay. In that worry time, we are looking for evidences. So I told that I had a client who always tells that like she has a pain in her hand. It is like some cancer, bone cancer. Head there is a brain tumor. So I asked her, may I know in the past whether you had something like this? Then she told that yes. Like 6 months before, I felt that I'm having a heart attack. She felt, oh, she told me all these things, and I asked her, you are still alive. Did anything turn out true? So may I know that anything turned out true for you? So looking for evidences in the past whether it came true. Most of our anxieties doesn't happen. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, most of our anxieties doesn't happen at all. So look for evidences. And the second tip is like, what is in your hand and what is not in your hand. Now we have something called coronavirus. So what is that? What are the things that are in our hand? Hand sanitization, wearing mask, avoiding public spaces, maintaining distance. That are the things that are in our hand. Eating healthy,
Yeah.
sleeping well, all these things. What are the things not in our hand? What if I get caught with the coronavirus? What if I die? These are things that are not at all in your hand, right? So tell your brain, these are the things in my hand and these are the things not in my hand. So let me focus on what are the things in my hand. Let me focus on what can I do for all these things, maintaining all these things. So this will be a great technique because it has proved a lot of beneficial to almost my clients and for me itself. It takes time, some time. Okay. Then next is something that I really like is willingness and relaxing. So when I don't know, anxiety is just an emotion. It's an emotion like all other emotions. So just accept it. Rather than suppressing it or reacting to it, just accept it. Just accept your anxiety. Okay, let me tell you how to do willingness and relaxing. So in my workshop, there is a whole module for training on willingness and relaxing. So as I want everyone to befriend anxiety, and I can understand that people can't invest their time for a 4-hour workshop and all. So I'm telling you, how is willingness and relaxation? So if I'm feeling an anxious issue, I'll just sit down. I'll just open my hands like this. Okay? I'll just open my hands like this. Open my hands like this. I'll close my eyes and I'll tell to myself, this is anxiety. Yeah, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm going through a phase of anxiety. And I'll look into my body. I will see like what are the changes that are happening in my body. Relaxing my body. I'll take few deep breaths. I'll comfort myself. I comfort my body. Then I'll ask myself why I'm feeling anxious. What is the issue that is disturbing me? Yeah, what can I do right now for that? What is the best way to come out from that? This is willingness and relax. Because when we resist our anxiety, it builds up. It builds and it becomes a pile. When we react to it immediately, it also is not good for us. So we are willingly accepting our anxiety. We are willingly accepting our anxiety and we are relaxing. These techniques, I told you, now, these all cognitive techniques takes time. It's not an easy process. It really takes time because you need to rewire your neural pathways. And willing and relaxation is a technique that is really a beneficial technique for you because you will feel so happy when you come out of that. Because you're willingly accepting your anxiety. You're not making it someone who is an enemy to you or like that. You're loving your anxiety. You're taking care of your anxiety. That is willingness and relaxing. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Yeah, so I have talked about the coping strategies and the cognitive strategies that would help you. And now we are going to the mind-body habits. So here we have MMR. MMR is meditation, mindfulness, and relaxation techniques. So I have already talked about mindfulness in this webinar series itself. So I don't want to again talk, but let me tell you, mindfulness is something, it is like being in the present with a purpose, with an attitude of curiosity, kindness, compassion, and generosity. When we are mindful, you are fully alive. It is not a practice, it's being fully alive in this world. If I'm mindful, I know what are the things that's happening in my body, how my body is feeling right now. I can understand all the sounds and all the things that's happening in my environment. I feel connected to everything. I'll start valuing everything in my life. Mindfulness is really a golden tool for you to explore your life. So in this MMR, meditation, mindfulness, and relaxation. About this meditation, I will tell you that when you start practicing meditation initially, you won't be able to get into that. I began with 1 minute of meditation, just 1 minute. Then I expanded it to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Over 6 months of time, I made it into 20 minutes. Over 6 months, I take it very slowly. You should take it very slowly. Then only you will get into that. It's a very slow process, meditation. So initially when I was doing meditation, many thoughts come to my mind. So then I was like, oh, what is this? What is this thoughts coming to my mind? I was so much worried about the thoughts. Then I understood how to treat my thoughts. I tell my thoughts, right now, you have to come and focus on your body. Please come and focus on my body. I loved each time when I became aware that my mind has gone somewhere. I bring back my mind and I tell to my mind that welcome back to my body. So meditation is a beautiful process which you need to practice to understand how it has to be. So next, when we are going into relaxation exercise, you can take up any relaxation exercise. I'll tell you a breathing technique called square breathing that really helped me. It is like inhale in 4 counts, hold it for 4 counts, exhale in 4 counts, relax for 4 counts. Again, do that. Inhale for 4 counts. You can see. Hold it for 4 counts. Release for exhale for 4 counts. Be normal for 4 counts. So this is a square breathing. This is also a very good relaxation exercise. So let's move into the next slide. Yeah. So the next slide is, I think it is related to please skill. Yeah, it's please skill. Please skill is like treat your physical illness, because when you have a physical illness, it can also lead to anxiety, like vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency. If you have a thyroid problem, if you have a PCOD problem, if you have some problems with your hypothalamus, if you have, so if you find that you are into too much of anxiety, just get it checked physically. And other problems are there. If you are diabetes also, it can affect your hormones. If you are having, so if you have any conditions, get it treated. Second thing is like balance eating. You should focus on eating balance. Then avoid mood altering substances like coffee, caffeine. All these things can alter your mood. Junk foods even can alter your moods. And then balance the sleep, like follow the hygiene of the sleep. Exercise. Exercise. So move to the next slide. I'm moving it a little faster because I wanted to answer all your questions. So that is why I'm moving a little bit faster. Is that okay for you? Like, are you able to follow me?
Yeah, ma'am. Please go ahead, ma'am. You cover up.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's move to the other slide. Yeah, goals and planning. So I believe that a person without goal is a dead body. So everyone should have a goal and we should have a plan also. Here I believe in the dialectics of living. That is, there is a lot of uncertainty surrounded by us. We can plan as well. We can go at the synthesis of a goal. Lot of uncertainty and just we move with that. Okay, that is goals and planning. So plan your life. Planning will, like, if you plan for the day, you can wake up without any uncertainty in your mind, at least. Like, you know that these are the things that you have to do. So it creates you, it helps you from avoiding the anxiety related to planning. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Yeah, the next slide is related to self-care. So when you think about managing your anxiety, self-care or me time is something very essential for everyone. You need to invest self-care time for you caring yourself. Initially, when I thought about self-care, I used to wake up by 6 o'clock. I made it to 5:30. I made it to 5:30 so that I can have 30 minutes for myself, exclusively for myself, thinking about what are my thoughts, how I feel, how is my day going on, how I want it to be, what are my dreams, what are my goals. So have at least 30 minutes for yourself. If you say that you don't have this 30 minutes for you, I don't know what to say. So coming to the end of our session, let me have the next slide. Next slide is a very beautiful quote that I really love whenever whoever I used to tell this quote. Can I move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. This is a quote by Deepak Chopra. Can I move? Yeah.
Please
Best
moved
use.
actually. Due to internet, it's taking a couple of seconds delay.
Yeah. The best use of imagination is creativity, and the worst use of imagination is anxiety. So with this, I hope that I have covered almost all the topics of my workshop, but I can't cover this. It is a 4-hour workshop, and limiting it to an hour, it is really difficult. And I think that you got something to take with you at the end of this. Yeah. May I know if you have any doubts or anything?
Yeah, ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am. Can I ask, ma'am?
Sure.
Yes, sir, you can
Ma'am,
go ahead, sir. Shivakumar, sir.
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Ma'am, you have covered very nicely, scriptly, lucid, and very enlightening deliberation. And you have given us a lot of useful tips and skills, knowledge on this topic, ma'am. My question is like, suppose a person, as you are telling, during anxiety, will have a strategy and all, you know. Suppose if a person, again, it depends on the degree of anxiety. Like suppose a person who is having 4 or 5 days only, the anxiety started, then we can apply all this thing, what I feel, ma'am. Suppose a person who is with anxiety for last 15 to 21 days, such persons, the neural pathways and all, they are all very much streamlined, you know. So it has been wired. So again, rewiring it will take time. Now, ma'am, under such circumstances, how do you suggest, ma'am, strategy?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when it comes to anxiety, when we officially diagnose anxiety, when it is affecting a person's personal, social, and emotional life of a person. So when we diagnose a condition, so at that point of time, it is affecting him for a longer time, and the neural pathways will be almost strong. So they can take the help of a psychologist as well as a psychiatrist. Like for a time period, maybe they can take some drugs that will help them to relax so that they can use the psychological strategies. It depends on the person. For example, if someone is having diabetes, some will go with like managing their healthy habits, lifestyle. Some will take both. They will take the medicine, they will manage it as well, right? Some
Yes,
will only focus on the medicine part. So it depends upon the person what they want. But if we are working, it definitely will take somewhere around 3 to 6 months, because it is something, a pathway that is trained, and we need to. So definitely it will take time. And depending upon the level of anxiety, if you're feeling so anxious, go for the coping skills. Then come back to the cognitive work. That is what I suggest. Don't try to think everything that point of time. Just relax your body. Just stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system and just relax. Then come to the cognitive strategies. Okay, and you should bring a change in your lifestyle by doing meditation, because meditation, mindfulness, they have resulted in thickening cortical area, and that is very good for our cognition, memory, everything. So it has neuroscience has proved a lot of benefits of meditation and mindfulness. So if you practice that for a long time, definitely it will take somewhere around 3 to 6 months. Definitely.
Oh, true. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other suggestions or something?
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah. So my question is, people who are having significant amount of anxiety, like medium to extreme levels of anxiety, who has panic attacks. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
So, Shivakumar sir, can you please mute your voice?
I will mute it. Yeah. I think mute it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Abhijeet, can you please repeat your question? Abhijeet?
Yes, Srikuti. So I have been associated with lot many people involved with anxiety, life deliberately affected with anxiety. So I'd like to hear your perspective too. So the thing is, when a person is affected by anxiety at extreme level, like moderate to extreme level, having frequent panic attacks, OCD disrupting their lives to a significant level. What is the I really appreciate the way you said about going hand in hand with psychology and psychiatry. That really helps. What is the time frame that your clients uh, take to recover to a reasonable level, Srikuti?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your question was like how long they will take to recover, and you were telling about people who are having panic attacks very often, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it is really not that easy process. As I said, as I have already said, all this practicing all these things are not at all easy. When you come to it only, you will understand it. With panic attacks, I believe that when people understand it is anxiety, and panic attacks won't last for a lot of minutes. I think it lasts for something somewhere around 14 to 15 minutes only. So relaxing your body. I had a client whom I taught him how to relax him, and he told that whenever he get a panic attack, he just lie down to wherever he is, he relaxes his body, and he tells his body that this is panic attack. Don't take care of it too much. Just relax. I'm going through this feeling. It is a panic attack. Just relax. Just accept as willingness. And after that, you will come out and she will go and do all of the stuff. This I have experienced it, but it took time. Like we worked for somewhere around 8 months, I guess, because we were trying one strategy. We were looking how it is affecting them. And then he had some beliefs, cognitions. We were working on that. But he didn't want to take any psychiatric drug. That is personal choice. Some people don't want to take it up. So it was not that easy, but reframing his cognitive process, including mindfulness, meditation, then teaching him how to relax him, teaching him how to identify what are the things happening in her body, in his or her body. So it takes time. Like I think it took around 8 months. I had only one person with panic attacks, so it took around 8 months. And later he used to tell me, I still get panic attack, but it's like I'm able to deal with it. I will relax my body, I'll be with that, then I'll come out of that. Yeah, I hope I have answered your question, Abhijit.
Very well, Srikuti. Very well. In my experience, people take 2 to 3 years to handle things to a significantly better level. It takes 1 year to get to the state of acceptance, and after that, it gradually evolves and things get better. So I was just I wanted to hear each and every person's experience from this field. So that's good. Thank you.
Okay, Abhijit, I'll add one more thing with this acceptance, because I really felt that we should make them understand that anxiety is a part of them. It is not an enemy or something to accept it, or like it's not a great thing. So I never judge my clients. If my client tell that they are anxiety, I just be empathetic towards them, and I just tell them that we are all humans. We have a lot of flaws in us, and we have a lot of lot of places we are not able to handle. It's very humanly. Just be kind to us, just be compassionate to us, and we always have the capacity to grow, change, and develop. So none of my clients feel that they have a problem. It's never a problem. It's something they can improve. We don't focus at all. I will never focus on the problem. And I tell all the therapists out who are practicing, don't judge your clients and don't label them. Just encourage them. Just tell them that it is normal process. It's a normal thing. Like some people will have like that. It's part of human experience. You are not like something very different from others at all. We are all humans. At the end, we are all humans. We are very different from each other. And we are all have the capacity to grow, develop, and change. So always be empathetic towards your clients. That helps them, that motivates them, that makes them feel worthy, that makes them feel that they have something in them. So this acceptance part, because of this acceptance, I'm telling you. So make them love themselves. So they will definitely talk about the strengths that they have. Anxiety may be an issue for them, but they may have a lot of strengths. So bring their strengths up and deal with that. It will help definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
A little bit.
Until here, I have a question. How do you
Sure.
handle, as Bijit has rightly pointed out, you need to have an insight into your problem. But what if a person is not willing to accept and it disturbs the other family members? The anxiety disturbs the other family members. How do you handle a person with no insight and who's not ready to come for treatment? How do you handle a person like that? Huh?
Telling that the person doesn't have any insight. So in that case, like we are helpless. We can't do anything, because a person should willing. treatment should be given only, I believe that it will work only when the person other also want to do it. We can educate them. That is the only thing we can do. We can help them how anxiety is affecting them or how it affects their body, how they can come out from that. If they come out from that, how it can have a positive effect on them. We can quote some examples to them rather than blaming, this happens with me. Even I used to tell my clients sometimes, like, it happens with me. I suffer this thing. I know how it will be. And a person with anxiety definitely will be in a stage where they can't do anything more. I don't think so. With anxiety, this is a big problem because they also feel a lot of helplessness in them. Because I was an anxiety person with generalized anxiety disorder, so I know how it is. We are in a state of utter helplessness, and with other psychological problems, I have felt this. But with anxiety, clients come to us. I have never experienced in a place where they don't have any insight. But sometimes it happens with elderly population, whether they don't understand psychology and they say that I'm having this. What I do at that point of time is I believe them and I go with them. Yeah, I make a space where they trust me. I have someone who was a relative of me who was 78 years old. I made him trust me blindly. That I always, when he tells me he has a problem, I just, yeah, I can understand. It's really sorry to hear that. I can deeply understand that. I've also gone through it. Then he started trusting me. Slowly, we started discussing about how we can come out of that. It's not labeling. We can't force anyone. Everyone has their individual freedom to leave, and we can't force anyone. We can just educate them. We can create a trusting environment, safe environment. That is what I call it, safe environment. In a safe environment, therapy works. That is person-centered therapy. We have to keep a safety there. I hope.
And a little bit of medication definitely helps, ma'am. A little bit of, anti-anxiolytics, that would definitely make them more relaxed, I think. So this is what I could do. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Anita, excuse me, Anita. Like I told initially that anxiety, as we treat with diabetes also, anxiety also, people can take drugs because it helps to relax their mood so that they can practice the skills. I told you before also. I encourage taking, if they are so much anxious, I encourage them to take medicines because that makes the therapy little more faster. They can sleep, they'll get a good sleep, they'll get good relaxation. So they can take. Some people don't wish to take psychiatric drugs. For them, I can't force them. Unless it is a
because I know a person, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I know a person who doesn't sleep also. He's not able to sleep. So, and that is why I thought I should, discuss it. Okay. Thank you so much.
That is a great question. And if any sleep problems, I do recommend people like just take a sleeping pills for like 2 to 3 months. Maybe by that time the stress will come down, or by that time we will learn a new strategy. We will learn a new sleeping meditation. Just take it for 3 months. Yeah.
Yes.
Mutaiah sir wants to contribute something. Yes, sir.
So that the problem is not the problem. How are you looking at the problem? It's not the issue. How you look at the issue. Corona is there, it's always there. But some people, even 90 years old people, they happily say, I can manage it, and they manage it. And the 20 years old boy or a girl, they panic and they panic. So there is no such specific time duration with saying for panic attack 1 week or for depression 2 weeks or some such. The intensity with which somebody wants, the intensity of the problem, the intensity with which the patient or the subject or the client wants to solve the problem, the expertise of the other person in connecting with the other person and empathetically looking at the other person and being friendly, that solves most of the problem. Not necessarily intellect, not necessarily the right kind of diagnosis. When you are friendly, automatically they become all right.
Yeah, that's true. Like if we are not judgmental, they feel very safe with us and they love to come to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Has anxiety has to do something with addiction like alcoholics or tobacco?
Like what do you mean? Like because when we become anxious, some take up the route of a maladaptive behavior by drinking alcohol. When they are anxious, they take up a maladaptive behavior that way, or like science says that when people take too much of this drugs and all, they can also induce anxiety in us. Like they can also change like brain things and all, and it can also in turn lead to anxiety. These are mood altering drugs like alcohol, nicotine, caffeine including. They are mood altering drugs, so it can affect.
It can
Sometimes
increase anxiety, no?
Sir is telling something. Mutaya sir, contribute. Yeah.
Sometimes it also so happens some chronic problem lasting over months or couple of years, like very likely there is a payoff or a profit for them in keeping them, in maintaining them, sustaining them. So we need to look into that angle also. So we need to give something else to them so that they get the stroke, they get the payoffs, and they are willing to let go of this. Otherwise, they will keep it, they will maintain it. They have a profit out of it.
Yeah. Like you were asking something. Yeah, add on. Are you there? Like 2020 when you were asking the question, like is it?
No, ma'am. I think it's not there. Anyway, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, can I ask ma'am one question?
Please, Sukumar sir,
Yeah,
we can. Sukumar sir,
uh-huh.
sorry to interrupt you. We have another 10 minutes. We are having the same platform, different meetings. So
Okay,
you can
okay, okay.
5 minutes, sir.
Okay. So, I'll short, sir. So,
Yes, sir.
ma'am, I have seen some of the clients, they're very sensitive, you know, like they're brought up and upbringing was like that only because of their past experiences and all subconscious mind. So they are not able to cope up with, you know, anything if we tell, if they have fear or anything, the negative irrational thoughts we have to replace with positive. Even though we tell them, we ask them to journal it out and all everything. In spite of that, they are not able to cope up with situations. So in that, what strategy is?
Yeah, it's a question that will take a lot of time to answer. So emotionally resilient people. So when we talk about that people, there is a strong genetics that are involved in that. Biology also depends how we are emotional. So, and there is a cognitive part. There is environmental factors. There is how they are brought up. All these factors do affect. So when we are like we should teach them how to manage their emotions. We should teach them what are emotions, managing their emotions. Then we should teach them how to reframe their thoughts. So it's a long process. And maybe I think mindfulness and meditations do help them in that conscious journey.
Yeah.
And look into dialectical behavior therapy, which really gives a good contribution to this emotionally resilient, how to manage the emotions.
Yeah.
And there is a portion called emotional regulation in that DBT.
Yeah, emotion. They are not able to regulate their emotional feelings.
Yeah, we should make them understand what is emotions and how to regulate it so that it's not affecting others and their life. It takes some time, but it's definitely it's possible.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir,
So, yeah, please.
I know that there is no time, but can I have a feedback about this session, like any one or two, like quickly feedback, so that it will help me in my future.
Ma'am, yeah, excellent, ma'am. Your deliberations are really very impressive. The way you are teaching us, the way you are putting up your ideas with examples and other things. So it is really helping us to learn, ma'am. It is not so, you know. So, and you are creating interest also in the subject. So people, non-psychologists also can able to come to know. So that way you are at par, ma'am, nothing. So your speed, everything, tone, volume, pitch, everything is perfect, ma'am. Perfect.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Muthu.
Yeah.
Your PPT especially was good. The slide and your correlation with the whatever you're explaining and the PPT was wonderful. I have one small query. Are you conducting any online workshops on anxiety?
Yes,
where we can find the details on this?
Yeah, I'll link my mobile number to this, or in this like webinar group, I'll link my mobile number. So if I get some 10 people, I thought I will start with my workshop, which will be very minimal amount. I'll be taking somewhere around 299 or 199. I haven't decided about that. But maybe you can join there where we will have a deeper discussion, like over a 4-week time, because weekly 2 hours, like the day which you are comfortable, because I want yours comfortable. You should be comfortable. So in that it will go. I'll definitely link my mobile number, Muthu sir. Like we will get in touch.
So thank you very much.
Okay.
Are you practicing in Salem? district?
Right now, I'm in my hometown. I'm working on like upskilling myself, and I work for an hospital itself. So that's what I do right now. Okay, Mudita sir, want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say, you have good clarity about the whole subject, and the whole presentation was very lucid, and voice is real good. Your eyes also sparkle. You maintained the time. There was interaction. You were answering questions properly. You allowed other people also to talk. In all respects, a real good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So due to shortage of time, we couldn't able to continue question and answer session. Now I'd like to invite Sonata ma'am to give the vote of thanks to you. Sonata ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Sri Kuti, it was a lovely presentation with smiling face. We enjoyed it. As you said, anxiety is an emotion, just accept it. We are thanking you, ma'am, from Department of Psychology, the American College Madurai, MSW Chennai, MS Chellamuthu Trust and Rehab Center, Madurai, Psycho-Oncology Association, Turkey, SCARF Chennai, and other associate partners. Thank you, participants. Tomorrow we can meet at another session. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Tomorrow I am the speaker. I am speaking on neuro-linguistic programming 101 and introduction.
I want to tell you, sorry, anyway, you informed it. So we are going to have a neuro-linguistic program, a wonderful session tomorrow with Dr. Muthaiya Muralidharan, sir, director. Sir, what is the Mind Dynamics Center? Yes, sir. Yeah. So participant, we will have yet another wonderful session tomorrow on the same time by our Muthaiya sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Muthaiya sir. All the best. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Wanda.